It was a big week in wrestling. We're talking WWE, All Elite, New Japan, Noah, maybe a little bit more. Let's get into it. Third League Radio.
I'm Paul Stanley of KISS. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I told you last night, no!
You're listening to your source for pro wrestling talk.
For those that are unaware, my name is Fuego del Sol.
Yeah, I actually used to wrestle for Ring of Honor before I signed with WWE.
You know, that name that you just named, I've never had a one-on-one match here in Impact Wrestling Games for Swan.
This is Third League.
World Women's Champion for NWA. I'm the first ever Mexican-born wrestler to hold this title.
This is the first time someone's introduced me as the Monster Hunter outside of a wrestling show.
His psychology was completely different, and it was more lucha style and Japanese style, so I got two completely different kinds of training.
This is Wrestling Radio.
All right, welcome into the show. Welcome into the program here today. Let's see, we are just going to jump right in because it was a big week. We'll talk a little bit of SmackDown, and then we'll move on to Japan when we're talking about WWE. That's a little bit odd. We'll get into that later. But we'll talk SmackDown. I'm not going to run through everything here, but
there's only one thing to note.
Well, I was going to talk about the continuing feud between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. They had a match, ended in a no contest. It was a tag title match, but
I don't really care for it. I mean, they have chemistry. They have good, average to good matches, but I don't really care for it.
But then it was a women's title match. Nia Jax would defeat Naomi. 19 minutes, 38 seconds, but then after that...
Naomi... I saw this one clip, I don't know if it was during the match or after the match. Naomi hit her with the Samoan drop. Nia.
Yep, and then what happens? Tiffany Stratton cashes in. It's Tiffy time. She is the new women's champion.
See, but here's the thing, though. Unless they kind of... They're probably going to do something about it on SmackDown where they're going to say why she did it and all this stuff, but it did not feel like they built this up properly. And I posted this online, and I had a lot of people agreeing with me that, hey, they're just trying to find moments to counteract other pay-per-views. They did it when TNA had their last show, and they did it here because Wrestle Kingdom was the same night, so they were like, okay, we gotta have something big, let's give Tiffany Stratton the title.
Well, that's kind of what WWE does. They try to take the momentum and ideas of other companies by simply doing what they're doing. We saw, let's be honest with WWE, they haven't had a real true working partnership with anybody since New Japan in the early 80s. I mean, they've had little bits here and there where ECW was on their show for a week. They had NWA on their show for a week, but I'm talking about a real true partnership. They haven't had one. All Elite comes along. They forge a partnership with New Japan through years and years of work. They get a partnership with CMLL. And what does WWE do? Oh, hey, let's send people to Japan. Let's get a partnership with TNA. And that kind of moves us into our next bit as we go to Pro Wrestling Noah.
No,
where
Omos isn't signed.
No, he is.
He's on signed to WWE.
He is. He is still signed to WWE. He just is not being used.
No, they fired him.
I thought he was released too. I thought he was released last September. He was not. He's still under contract. But yes, you talked about Omos. Him and Jack Morris, Team 2000X, a member of a faction, I should say. They defeated Naomichi Marufuji and Takashi Sagura to become the GHC Tag Team Champions.
Did you look this up? I'm pretty sure he got released.
Well, I mean, we'll look it up now.
Are you just using the cage match thing?
I mean, no, I thought he got released in September too, but no, he did not. I'll look that up. He is still under contract. If you look it up at Cage Match, he is under contract to WWE as well. But no, I'm with you. I thought he got released back in September. Apparently, he did not.
So it's just an excursion.
That or maybe a rebranding. I mean, I guess that's what an excursion is, to give you more, real competition as opposed to just doing the same thing in NXT. But
it gives you a better understanding of the sport. It gives you a broader
knowledge, and that's been my knock on WWE and the power plant style of training wrestlers, as far as the performance center, power plant, whatever you want to call it. They go in there, they get their 5 moves of doom, and they go out and they do that. Where's your learning? This is where your learning is. So while I think WWE's kind of copied off TNA from this, and they could do it right and make something good out of it, but the rest of the show, since Shinsuke Nakamura would defeat Oka Sasaki, and in the globally honored crown, Ozawa, a member of Team 2000X along with Jack Morris and Omos, would defeat Kaito Kiyomiya in just under 30 minutes to become the new champion.
Oh, this is something else. So, I really do not watch Noah. I will be frank with you. I do not know their stories, and I don't know their teams, but, wow, I'm dropping his name.
Who are you looking for? Ozawa, Kaito Kiyomiya, Oka Sasaki, Shinsuke?
No, the guy who came out with Omos and he was in WWE.
Yoshitatsu.
Yes, Yoshitatsu.
Yeah. Okay.
He had like a little cane thing. I don't know if he's doing like an MVP role, but he still had his face painted. So
That's funny. But yeah, that is a real quick look at WWE Pro Wrestling Noah. I hope, I've talked about WWE kind of copying off everybody and taking their momentum. That's been my fear. You see, with the WWE ID program, you don't want that to happen. You don't want what happened in Europe to happen in America. And with WWE, hopefully not trying to take over Noah. But if they take over Noah, that spells bad things for Japanese wrestling. But we'll see how it all goes and plays out. But WWE could very well be playing the bad guy once again.
Well, the veterans in the business see what's going on. I mean, the WTF ID program is just... And they're being comedy with it, but it's not even lying. It's real stuff.
Third League Radio.
Well, moving on, we have got to talk all Elite Wrestling before we move on to, the big weekend, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty, and what shows they were. But first, we'll start in Asheville, North Carolina with Fight for the Fallen, which would open up with Adam Page defeating Orange Cassidy just under 13 minutes in this one.
This was fine. They definitely had chemistry issues, so there was some slip-ups, some hesitations in some places, but I mean, as a wrestling match, it was fine.
And, this would lead into the Hurt Syndicate and the Acclaimed. This is just, I don't know where they're going with Bowens and Max Caster. Of course, Lashley and Shelton Benjamin would get the win in this one.
Sorry, I think you missed this little promo battle. They were backstage and Caster was calling himself the best wrestler alive, and I'm the leader of the Acclaimed, and Bowen started screaming at him. He was like, I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, but I thought this was all set up for Max Caster to leave the Acclaimed to join the Hurt Syndicate, but that's not how it's set up, because not Shelton Benjamin, oh my god, MVP clearly said Max Caster's not welcome in the Hurt business anymore. He pulled his card. You know what I mean? He's not welcome. So I don't know what they're doing with this. Maybe Caster's getting a big head and this is leading to a Bowens-Caster feud?
Well, I think Caster's a little delusional. He's seeing that he got that card from MVP, and even though the offer's off the table, he's like, well, they see something in me, and I'm just sitting here with Anthony Bowens. I need to do something.
But let's see. We'll move on as Julia Hart would return, defeat Jamie Hayter just under 10 minutes. I like Julia Hart coming back. I don't think she should have beat Hayter here.
I disagree. I think she needed to.
Really? I mean, Hayter has just come back too. I mean, not just come back, but she's fresh off a comeback. I haven't seen any momentum kind of kick up her way. I think this just pushes her down some. I think Julia Hart can get the win over somebody else, but not Jamie Hayter.
Hayter doesn't hurt on the loss, and Hart needs a bigger name who's also just coming back, so they both pretty much have the same momentum anyway, and you want Julia Hart to be... You want her to be with the House of Black. Well, she is with the House of Black, but you want the House of Black to be... They're pushing the House of Black really hard. They want them to be up there on the card. And you have to have reputation for each of the members in there. You can't just have Julia Hart beat Red Velvet or something.
Well, I get that, but I think you kill a little bit of Hayter's jump here. I don't know how she gets it back.
No, she'll be fine.
But we'll move on because the next match is a three-way, and it is, well, for a coveted spot, the number one spot in the Casino Battle Royal Gauntlet. You know, this is one of the really cool, probably the best gimmick match All Elite has done, because it could end any time. The Battle Royal, people come in once every, but it could end any time. It doesn't matter. The first person to get the pin is the winner. So that's why the number one spot.
Well, this is something that they made, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why the number one spot is such a highly sought after thing. And this match, this three-way, is for that number one spot. It pits Jay White, Roderick Strong, and Swerve Strickland against each other. Jay White would eventually get the win in this one. But really, that's not really what, I mean, sure, Jay White getting it, but that's not really what the story ended up on. The story ended up on Ricochet coming in and attacking Swerve Strickland with the golden scissors, like the fabric scissors he stole from somebody in the back or something. And man, that really set...
I thought
that was a whole new Ricochet.
Well,
that wasn't the
I thought they were barber scissors, and I thought, because usually barbers have those gold scissors. So I was thinking, oh my God, everyone's calling him bald. He's gonna
he's gonna cut some hair here. But no, that Ricochet with that bloody shirt. That is an image right there. That really sets a new tone for Ricochet.
I'm wondering if we get like Samantha Irvin to come in, but she plays like the Brandy Rhodes style character.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with Samantha Irvin right now, but that would be...
She didn't want to do just announcing.
Yeah, she didn't just want to be an announcer, yeah. But then we'll move on in this one as Powerhouse Hobbs crushed two people in just under a minute, John Cruz, Rob Killjoy, and that leads to our main event, a three-way match. Rated FTR taking on Claudio, Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta Death Riders. This match was just under 19 minutes. I think Dave gave it 4 stars. Rated FTR would get the win in, like I said, just under 19 minutes. But I think the thing for me with this one, Adam Copeland said Rated R superstar Adam Copeland is too long, so he changed it to Cope. But
they got the trademark, and he's just
take it back.
So wait.
Copeland.
Rated R superstar Adam Copeland wasn't too long.
No. That was fine. But Rated R superstar Adam Copeland, he said, no, that's just a little bit too long. Guy, take it back. Say you're sorry. We will forgive you.
I guess because his actual tagline was Rated R Adam Copeland, but
yeah, I don't know, man. It's like saying Bret the Hitman Hart is too long. You know what I mean? It's too much of a mouthful. But we'll move on to Collision as it starts off with the TNT title match. Mark Briscoe taking on Daniel Garcia, and I like the way this one started.
I just imagine on the card it would say Owen Hart versus Hart.
Yeah. Hart. But no, back on Collision. I like the way this one started because Collision starts with little bitty promos, maybe from the main event people or the people that are featured. And it started off with a little bitty promo from Mark Briscoe, and he says, Danny Garcia, I like you, but tonight I must whip that ass to be the new TNT champion. I love Mark Briscoe's promos. But unfortunately for him, Daniel Garcia would get the win. He would retain the TNT title. The tag titles were on the line. Private Party, Quinn and Zay would defeat, I don't know, the biggest egos in the room, Action Andretti and Leo Rush.
Yeah, I don't... They're acting like Lil Pump and Kanye West over here. There's just the giant-ass jackets that they got from Gucci or something, Armani Exchange, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of all that. But Toni Storm was in action next. She would defeat Deonna Purrazzo. And what I guess in her mind was their first ever meeting. She would defeat Deonna Purrazzo with Taya Valkyrie in attendance, or in Deanna's corner, I should say.
Yeah, that was something else.
Bob.
Every Monday.
He's out now.
Have you texted him?
No, he just saw that we were recording. He's like, oh.
Yeah, I know, but if you tell him, he won't do it.
Hey, we do it about Mondays, about noon. I don't know. That might stay in the broadcast this week. Let's see.
You don't leave it in?
Most of the time I cut it out. $100,000. I should leave it in. $100,000 high-speed collision four-way match.
JD was getting mad about this. It was like, WCW did this and everyone loved it. ECW did it. WWE has done it like once.
Yeah.
It's the... What's the reason? They're fighting for $100,000.
That's the reason. My goodness. But Brian Cage would defeat Dante Martin, Commander, the Beast of Mortos in this one. Okay, now this one...
sorry, I just want to be clear. Brian Cage does not get $100,000. Most of it is going to Callis.
Yeah. But no, this is where I have a bit of a... I don't know. You want to push Brian Cage. He's been there long. He deserves a push. Beast Mortos deserves a push as well. Maybe you have a feud with Cage and Mortos for some reason. Maybe Mortos wants the $100,000 and Cage is like, no, I want it. And they have, I don't know. Maybe you work something out of that. But those two guys really deserve a push, especially Mortos. And maybe you can do it by giving them some kind of feud together, some kind of story together. But then the main event... Oh, okay. Sorry?
I thought Beast Mortos was in the Callis family. Who's he with?
He's with...
He's with some group.
Well, no, basically, the Callis family traded with Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts got... what is it? Los Faction Ingobernables?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Jake Roberts since then. So I'm not really sure what that is. But you were right. He was in the Callis family at one point.
Jake Roberts... I know what's happening. He's healthy. He can move. But when he was on TV last time for the match with LFI versus someone else, he just did not look like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And you couldn't hear him. He was just pointing his finger randomly. It was... He looked bad, but he's healthy. He can do interviews and stuff.
We're moving on to the main event, another Rated FTR six-man tag match. As this time, they would defeat Learning Tree, Big Bill, Brian Keith,
The Learning Tree.
The Learning Tree. Actually, that was the name of my daycare. Oddly enough. But there is a look at, well, not all of All Elite this week, but there's a look at our broadcast All Elite shows.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, now we got to move to Tokyo, Japan, in the Tokyo Dome for the first night of a 3-night event. We'll get to 2 of those nights here as we have got to start off.
Beat that, WrestleMania.
Yeah, right? We've got to start off with Wrestle Kingdom 19, live from the Tokyo Dome. And, well, of the 2 shows this week, I would say this was my least favorite, and I say that by saying I really love the show. of the 2 big shows this week.
I just thought it was an average Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it was very clear that Wrestle Dynasty was the main show, and I don't know if it was just their crowd mics, but the fans also knew. I mean, it looked more packed for Wrestle Dynasty, the lights were turned up for Wrestle Dynasty, and the fans seemed a little louder for Wrestle Dynasty.
And you know what? That is odd because there were 24,000 in attendance for Wrestle Kingdom and only 16,000 in attendance for Wrestle Dynasty. But you're right. The crowd was more into Wrestle Dynasty. The crowd looked at it as the bigger show.
They're gonna have to do something because Wrestle Kingdom is generally sold out at 40K. So, I mean, they're gonna have to really work at it. Hopefully their 10-step plan, is that how much it was? Was it 7?
Well, I mean, New Japan has just got to build stars, and I think they're doing that right now. We'll talk about that a little bit coming up with one match in particular when we talk about Wrestle Dynasty. But right now I want to get into Wrestle Kingdom. It started off with the junior heavyweight tag titles as the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Fujita and Robbie Eagles, have become the new champions.
Yeah, I came in at the end of this, but Kosei Fujita is actually the youngest person to hold the junior tag titles, so pretty cool.
Very cool, very cool. And we'll move on to another title match as the women's title was on the line. Mayu Iwatani would retain, defeating Azumi.
This was so good, but so short, and I was really upset.
I saw the time just under 9 minutes in this one.
Yeah, I was so upset because it was so good. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know if maybe one of them maybe Azumi got a concussion or something. I really do not know why it was so short.
But then we'll move on to the World Television title. It's a four-way match. El Phantasmo would become the new champion, defeating Ren Narita, Jeff Cobb, and Ryohei Oiwa.
Well,
a little over 10 minutes.
He deserves it. The crowd loves ELP. Like, ELP is like a C-list celebrity over in Japan.
I saw someone...
Everybody.
Well, I saw someone who... I don't know how new they are in wrestling fandom. They were posting on one of the groups I'm a part of, and they had a screenshot of ELP. I guess it's their first time watching New Japan. They had a screenshot of ELP, and the caption was, New Japan's version of Logan Paul? I said, oh my goodness.
He looks like Logan Paul, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Logan Paul copied his look off of El Phantasmo as opposed to the other way around.
Well, I think they just look alike.
No, I mean the factual clothes. Not the look, but the clothes they wear. Very similar. Guess where that came from?
Well, ELP comes out with like a fur robe.
And we'll move to the lumberjack match. Tanahashi would defeat Evil, and I don't know why they still have lumberjack matches.
It only works very rarely, and I was trying to think of how I would book one, and it's not how New Japan or AEW has ever done it, or WWE. It's just the people in the match don't believe in it. They don't know what they're doing. There's never a plan. There was one part in this match where Evil got sent to the outside and House of Torture's helping him, taking care of him, gave him a chair, gave him water. But then the other people on the other side of the ring were just standing there, just going, what?
Yeah, you go grab him, you throw him in. Yeah, exactly. But then we'll move on to a title for title match. The AEW International title, the never open weight title. Konosuke Takeshita would defeat Shingo Takagi to become a double champion. And he was going to take both titles into, the next night at Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, this was okay. It was a good match. It wasn't as great as I was expecting it to be.
And the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title would change hands.
And that was their first meeting, by the way, so I was expecting something big.
You mean Takeshita and...
Yeah, they had never wrestled before.
But then the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title would change hands as El Desperado would defeat Doki by... referee stoppage because, what happened in that one?
So, here's what happened. Doki... Okay, well, let's talk about this first. So they were doing usual junior stuff. They were doing the topes and stuff. But they did not account for how close the barricades were going to be. There was one part where Desperado did a tope to the outside. Or maybe it was actually like a... He jumped out and then did like a front flip thing.
Oh, yeah.
But his knees snapped around the barricade. And he was just fine. He got up and ran into the crowd and, I guess shaking it off, telling everyone, hey, he's okay. But that was the first part. And then literally like 2 minutes after that, Doki tries to do a seated senton off the top, and then I think he gets caught and then powerbombed into the barricade, but he tried to break the fall with his arms, and he broke his elbow. Like you could see it was broken. There was a bruise immediately, and it was popped out a little bit, and the ref just stopped it right there.
Yeah, go ahead. Cut the match. El Desperado gets a title because of it. Another title would change hands in the next match. As the global heavyweight title was on the line, Yota Tsuji would defeat David Finlay in this match. Just under 20 minutes, Tsuji, the new champ.
Yeah, this was the best match of Yota Tsuji. This was the best match of, well, maybe not the best match of Yota Tsuji, but definitely the best match of David Finlay. And I gave it 4.75. I loved this match, and it made me a believer of David Finlay, I'll tell you that.
Now, in the next match, the co-main event, if you will.
Now, I don't understand why Fit isn't with David.
Yeah, I get that. But as we move on to the co-main event, this one I didn't really understand. Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito won the tag league, but instead of challenging for tag titles, they said, we're going to face each other. Or Naito gave Takahashi the match that he's always wanted, I should say.
Well, it's
they're still team.
It's master and student.
But the master would defeat the student, as Tetsuya Naito would defeat Hiromu Takahashi in this one.
This was a very emotional match, honestly. Until it happened, I was like, why is this the co-main event?
Yeah.
But, yeah, afterwards, Takahashi's crying. He doesn't want to... You can tell, because, okay, Naito puts his fist up like he always does. That's his thing. And then Takahashi's just standing there, and you can tell in his head he really doesn't want to... Because he thought he could beat his master, and he doesn't want to admit that he can't do it. But eventually he just looks down and then gives him a bow and puts his fist up and starts crying.
Yeah, no, good match, good story all the way around. And we lead into the next night on Wrestle Dynasty as well.
I need to mention, the commentators, what were they thinking? They were just metaphors all night, every night. They over-dramatized stories, like ELP's tumor was cancer that they didn't know if he could wrestle again. And then it was Naito has macular degeneration in his right eye.
He's selling a lot of stuff.
He only is allowed to have 3 surgeries. He took the 3 surgeries and then took a 4th one.
Yeah, he took the 4th one on his good eye to make his good eye less good, so it'd match up with his other eye. I don't know.
It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
But they, they did have some classic lines in the match we'll talk about here in a little bit. But before we get there, we got to talk the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, the IWGP Heavyweight title on the line. Zack Sabre taking on Shota Umino, and
this was not good. I mean, there's discourse from the Japanese fans. It was good, but Shota didn't put up the performance No,
Shota is getting his push, and I don't know if he knows how to take it. We'll talk about it a little bit coming up more as we talk Wrestle Dynasty, but he has got a main event match that's going just about 45 minutes with Zack Sabre Jr., a man who can...
Oh, my God.
Who can work a wrist. Who can work a wrist for 4 or 5 minutes and have a crowd enthralled with that. You can literally count about every 6 to 7 seconds if he's got to hold on for a long time. You can count about every 6 to 7 seconds he will literally change something in that hold. He will move a wrist, he will move a pinky back. There is something he's doing every few seconds while still holding on to that. Sabre can make a submission interesting, and you're in there with him, and then it's like he was just going through the motion. Shota. It didn't look like he was invested at all.
Yeah, no. And he didn't really sell a lot of things properly. There was one submission close to the beginning where Shota just didn't look like he was in pain at all. And then anytime he was doing a pass-out thing, he passed out right away.
Yeah,
And he did that like 4 times. You can't do that in a match. And it went 15 minutes too long, and the commentators were making a note about something is 48 minutes. So I was like, oh my God, they're going to go 48 minutes. And I was just over it. I mean, Shota's great, and this could have been a great match, and I hope they have another one.
Well, we'll talk about Shota coming up here in just a little bit, but that right there is our look at Wrestle Kingdom.
Talking wrestling around the world. This is Third League.
And from that, we got to move to Wrestle Dynasty, New Japan, CMLL, AEW, Stardom, Ring of Honor. It's live from the Tokyo Dome, 16,300 in attendance. Usually we don't talk pre-show matches, but we're going to talk this one as Momo Watanabe defeated Athena, Persephone, and Willow Nightingale to become the... Well, she basically gets a title shot from anybody that she wants.
In any company.
In any company. And she has chosen to take that title shot against Athena in Ring of Honor.
Has she? Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
At the post-show thing?
Yeah. And
okay.
Athena was pretty upset about that. But that's going to be a really good match that I'm looking forward to.
Well, you're missing the point, okay? So, Watanabe and Athena have been having this mini feud, and Athena's calling herself an American Joshi, which, I mean, she is, but Athena's just thinking she's the best anywhere she goes, so Momo got mad at that. She pins Athena, the first person to pin Athena.
Yeah.
The first
in a
person.
Long time. Yeah.
Athena got pinned.
And that doesn't happen. But that'll move.
She had the spinner belt. She was spinning it on the way down. Have you seen the spinner belt?
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's so cool.
I'm not a fan.
You hate fun.
I hate spinner belts.
You can't.
Belts should be championship belts should be championship belts. They shouldn't be spinners. They shouldn't be WWE logos. They should be championship belts.
I've seen you laugh, but I don't think I've seen you have fun.
So the Lucha Gauntlet match would start the show. And this was... I didn't get to really watch this one, but I felt like a CMLL wrestler would win this one, and that's not what happened. Taiji Ishimori won this one. He would defeat... Let's get the names of the people. El Desperado, Hechicero, Fujita, Mascara Dorado, Master Wato, Soberano Jr., and Titan.
I forgot what the winner of this got, but it was the... It says Lucha Gauntlet. It was the Lucha Casino Gauntlet.
Maybe they're going to be in the Casino Battle Royal.
I do not know. Maybe I forgot what they said the winner is. But yeah, they... It was, 8 people Casino Battle Royal.
All right, so there we go.
They took that. They even mentioned that they were like, for AEW fans, this will be nothing new, but for...
Yeah. Now this one, it surprised me. When you told me that this had been added to the card, I was like, what? Hold on, what? I had to ask again. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Katsuyori Shibata in an exhibition match that only went 5 minutes to a time limit draw. Now, I came in right after this. I came in for the Mercedes match, but...
Sorry.
So I didn't get to watch the match, but looking at pictures afterwards... Tanahashi's chest, 5 minutes with Shibata is ouch.
Yep. And people didn't know this was a exhibition match. I actually, not to brag, but I put the little suggestion in on the cage match for them to change it to say exhibition.
Yeah, it's changed. It's exhibition match now.
But it was a 5 minute limit. I don't think they're going to let Shibata do any more than that, but Shibata, I think he went into business for himself because after the match, he kind of teased to Tanahashi one more. And Tanahashi's the president of the company.
Yeah, President Tanahashi there. But now we go to the match that I started on. The title for title, the New Japan Strong Women's title, and the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's title, as Mercedes Moné would meet up with Mina Shirakawa. Moné would get the win to become Triple Crown Moné.
Well, I've looked this up before. I believe the Queen of Southside title is... it was a promotion. I believe Rev Pro bought it, and then the titles were unified. So essentially they're the same title. So... Some people were saying quadruple crown.
Well, you can't be a quadruple crown. You can be a quadruple champion.
Yeah, but the Queen of Southside isn't. It's going to be defended with the Rev Pro title, so it's a triple crown. It's 3 titles.
Well, the triple crown in the sense I'm talking about is not just having 3 titles. It's
I know.
Having a title in a major championship from a different continent. You've got Europe, you've got Asia, and you've got America. And she's got 3 belts from each one that are considered major belts. That's a Triple Crown to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of people are telling her to go for Mariah's title now. I am full into the mindset that she is doing belt collector Monet, and I really hope they come out to a deal where she can get the Knockouts title, because that will be so funny.
Now, this next match surprised me a little bit, as David Finlay would defeat Brody King just under 13 minutes. I did not think David Finlay would get the win in this one. I thought Brody King, as dominant as he's been, as much of a force as he was in the Continental Classic, even though he didn't win, even though he wasn't in the semifinals, I did not think that Brody King would get the loss here, but with David Finlay getting the loss the night before, I should have expected it.
Yeah, I stayed up for Wrestle Kingdom, because it's Wrestle Kingdom. Dynasty, I did not stay up for, and New Year's Smash, I was supposed to stay up for and fell asleep in the middle. So
I guess this is meek, because the next match, this is why I say I think Shota is getting a push and he doesn't know how to handle it yet. We talked about him going through the motions in a match with Zack Sabre Jr. in which he lost in just under 45 minutes. Claudio Castagnoli carried this match.
I saw highlights of this, and I don't know if it was just Claudio doing Claudio like taunts or whatever, but it looked like he was just, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, no, I was going to say Shota again went through the motions in this match, even though he's getting the win. Shota defeated Claudio in just under 15 minutes, and I've never seen this kind of performance from Shota, especially back-to-back nights. I mean, I've been high on Shota. If you listen to the show at all, you know how much I love Shota, but
he was doing, I think he needs something to be invested in what he's doing. When he had the Moxley story and he was being pushed as the underdog, he had a reason to care.
Well, in this one they were trying to, because they were trying to, at least the announcers were trying to make the point of, is he Japan's version of the Death Riders, or is he not with Moxley anymore? They were trying to make that a story.
But is he invested in that?
Yeah, see, I don't know.
If he's not emotionally invested, I don't think he can work at his top level, which is not good for him. You have to be able to invest yourself in everything you're doing. That's why Ospreay is the level he's at.
Well, let's go to another title match. The international title and the openweight title are being defended as Konosuke Takeshita would defeat Tomohiro Ishii in 13 minutes 30 seconds.
I saw highlights of this one, and the highlights I saw looked like they had no chemistry at all. There was the ending was good, but it looked like they took a long time to get into it. It looked a little slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that what you got from it?
Yeah, well, see, I knew Takeshita was going to win. I think everybody in the crowd did too, so maybe I just wasn't as invested watching it, you know? But then we'll move on to the tag title three-way match for the vacant IWGP tag team titles. It would be United Empire, Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb taking on Los Ingobernables de Japan, Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, as well as the Young Bucks, Matthew Nicholas Jackson. And the Young Bucks would get the win here, where
now,
I thought...
That's really, really weird.
I thought it would be Takahashi and Naito from the night before. And
that would have made perfect sense, and that's something that they could have learned from WWE and AEW, because that's something they would have done there. I don't know if it was Tony politicking for the Young Bucks to win the titles here because they're coming back in Japan, and I mean, this is a big deal. The Japanese fans love the Young Bucks, and they're IWGP Tag Champions. It's not the Openweight Tag Champion. It's not the Strong Tag Champions.
I mean, it's not even the Junior Tag Champions anymore. It's the big titles.
So I think the point of that was, I mean, Naito and Takahashi, man, that would have got fans in too, but I think the point was, hey, the fans have seen Naito and Takahashi every week. How about we give it to the Young Bucks? The fans love the Young Bucks. Old fans love the Young Bucks. Maybe we'll bring some people in. I think that's the idea.
Well, the Global Heavyweight title was next, as Yota Tsuji would defeat the Scapegoat Jack Perry. And The thing, I mean, this was just it was a good match. It was a decent match. And when it wasn't anything special about it. But I really did like the commentary talking about how Jack Perry's a member of House of Torture. I haven't heard that in a long time. I like them bringing that back.
Well, he's a member of House of Torture Japan. I mean, he's in America. He's part of the Elite, and that's how it is. I mean, I guess they could mention that he's part of the Elite and House of Torture in Japan, which is something they probably should do. But in Japan, you have to mention he's part of House of Torture because he is.
Yeah. But we got to move on to what I think probably the best match of the night, as we talked a little bit earlier about New Japan needing to not only make new stars, but make new top stars because you've seen a lot of people like the Young Bucks, like Kenny Omega. They've gone back to America to work with All Elite. But
go ahead and finish this thing, but don't go into the match because I want to explain why it's Gabe Kidd.
Well, I was going to say, when you watch this match, Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd, I came into this match thinking, yeah, this is going to be a good return for Kenny. It's going to get him some work. He's not going to have to work too hard. It's going to be a decent match. People are going to be happy. And then I watched the build-up and I watched the match itself, and I've been high on Gabe Kidd, but it wasn't a welcome back for Kenny. It wasn't only a welcome back for Kenny. It was a welcome to the main event for Gabe Kidd.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why they picked Gabe Kidd, they could have picked a lot of people here. They could have picked El Fantasmo from the night before. That would have said something. There's a reason they picked Gabe Kidd, and the main reason is because he's American, correct?
Yeah.
He's their most popular, or becoming the most popular of their young stars, correct?
Sorry, not American, British. Go ahead, but
okay.
Yes.
He presents himself in this, like, Conor McGregor rich boxer guy where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, mate. You know, like, well, he's wearing the big suits and everything, and he's doing a lot of stuff. He's a brawler type guy, and that's kind of the reason why they did this, because the fans are really attaching themselves to him, and he needed something else.
Well, it's not just okay. This has been building for 6 months, maybe a year. I think the first time I noticed Gabe Kidd was, I think he might have had a hardcore match, or I don't know if it was titled a hardcore match, but he had a match where a lot of blood, real violent match, and it was real good. Then he had another match after that, and another good match after that, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a consistency here. And it wasn't just violence that was good.
Click on match guide.
It was the style, the ideas that he worked with inside of that violence that made that you saw him stick out.
Yeah,
it's not just a guy who's beating someone in the head with a 2x4 or whatever the case may be. You know.
Click on match guide real quick on Gabe Kidd.
Okay, but you can't do this while we're on the air. But go ahead.
Just do it. Now click on the WON button.
The what?
WON. The WON to make it the top. What was his 5-star match with?
He does not have a 5-star match. Gabe Kidd has a 4 3/4 singles match with Shingo Takagi.
That's what I was thinking about. Okay, that's the one that was the really good one.
4 3/4 match. It's a no rope last man standing match with Eddie Kingston.
That was fun. Yeah, I remember that.
And then he's got another 4 3/4 match. Those are his 3 highest, and that is against Zack Sabre Jr. But no, I'm really high on this. And you were talking a little bit earlier about the announcers kind of overselling everything a little bit, but almost right at the end of this match, where Gabe Kidd he's toast, he's done. Kenny Omega's gonna get the pin. There's a call. How long can you stare at the face of God? I love that call.
And do you know?
I love that call.
But did you? That calls back to Kenny's entrance with his new music. Did you see how he came out and the pillars on the New Japan is so good on entrances. I don't know what screens they're using, but it legitimately looked like he was standing in front of pillars.
That is the new theme song from the creator of Final Fantasy, 16 and 17?
14.
Theme song? 14, yeah. So that's very cool that he actually has those connections. He's like, hey, I need a new theme song. Let me just go get this guy real quick. That's awesome. But no, I can't talk enough about that match. Gabe Kidd would fall to Kenny Omega in the co-main event, as it were. And if you get into the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Ricochet for the IWGP Heavyweight title.
I didn't see this, but I've heard people saying, oh, Zack Sabre Jr. isn't that good.
No. I don't know what they're talking about. This was a good match. I mean, you know what? As good as a match as this was, it wasn't even, top 3, 4 of the weekend? And I'm not saying anything bad about this match by saying that. I'm saying how good everything else was around it. But Zack Sabre Jr. would get the win.
But what happened in it? I didn't watch it. I want to...
Well, it was another one of those where, if you watched the night before, it was like Sabre was playing with Shota. He had the whole thing. He had a plan. He was executing his plan. He might have had a little missteps here or there, but he knew what he was going to do, and he did it. Same thing here. Zack Sabre being the controller, the manipulator of everything. Ricochet got a few moves in that he didn't expect or whatever, but again, it was just Sabre picking a wrist, working the wrist down. I mean, I told you that. I got that from this match, where I'm like, if you count in just about every 6-7 seconds, he's going to switch up and do something different during that full submission. That's where I got this from. Sabre was in control the entire time, even though Ricochet had a little movement. Sabre knew what he was doing. I think that's what they're selling Sabre as, this ring general, for lack of a better term at the moment.
The general of the ring.
There you go.
But New Year's Smash was a very interesting show because it felt like a... you know how AEW will have like a special event like Dynamite Fight for the Fallen, Dynamite Fighter Fest?
Yeah.
That was basically what this was for New Japan. And I thought... okay, so I didn't get to see the show. I saw the first match, which was actually really awesome. And I saw the beginning of the second match, but it was a 10-man tag, and I was tired, and I was like, oh my god, no, I'm going to bed. It was... because the show started at 3:30 a.m.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't see if there was any surprises. I didn't see anything like that. You might want to Wikipedia that if anyone wrote anything on that show. But the first match was fucking awesome. And I'm going to show it to you when you get home, because it was only 5 minutes long.
But there's our look at New Japan Wrestle Dynasty.
Go to New Year's Smash. Let's go.
New Year's Smash took place on our Monday or whatever.
Whatever. Do it.
Okay. New Year's Dash. Well,
Dash.
Josh Barnett and Oleg Boltin would start the show in another exhibition match.
That was awesome. Now, I have a question. Is Oleg Boltin Japanese?
I picked him as my wrestler or whatever, rookie of the year. You're over here like, is he Japanese? No, he's Kazakhstan. He's Kazi, or Kazakh, whatever you want to call it. I forget the proper name. I don't know how to properly say it.
Is he half?
He's from Kazakhstan. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
Okay, well, here's what happened. After the match, Josh Barnett was... I don't know... Because he looks like he speaks English, right? Mm-hmm. Oleg Boltin. Josh Barnett is talking to him in English, and he's like, you're great, like, I'm going to take you under my wing. And then Oleg Boltin response in a Japanese monologue, and it was so long.
Wow.
And Josh Barnett was just standing there like,
okay,
sure.
Nice. 10-man tag match. United Empire would defeat El Phantasmo, Jado, Master Wato, Shota, and Tomoaki Hanma.
Yeah, this is the one I checked out.
Let's see. Where is the... I know I'm looking for... I thought there was a title match on this show. I thought the... what is it? The... No, it's not the Continental. Oh, my God. The Global title. The Global Heavyweight title. I thought that was on the line on this show because I watched... Oh, there it is. It's not on the line. It's the 8-man tag match. Los Ingobernables, Dejapan Bushi, Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, this is basically it was basically a big story show.
Well, see, I was going after the match is what I saw, where Gabe Kidd would walk up to Yota Tsuji, basically indicating, I want that title.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. I didn't get to see any of the aftermatch stuff because this show was to set up the feuds for the beginning of the year. I didn't get to see any of that. Yeah, but it's Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji.
But that's traditionally what this show is, to set up what's going to happen. If not for the year, for the next few months anyway. We're not going to go over the whole show, but I will skip to the main event. It's an 8-man tag, Chaos. Haruki Goto, Rocky Romero, Yoshihashi, they would defeat TMDK. Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing there's going to be Chaos and TMDK feud where I'm guessing either Yoshihashi or Haruki Goto is going to feud with Zack Sabre for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hiroki Goto, because Hiroki Goto won the number one contenders Battle Royal at the beginning of Wrestle Kingdom, I believe.
Okay. There you go. Well, there's our look at the weekend in New Japan.
This week in history.
Well, now time for our This Week in History, and why not stay in Japan, where Wrestle Kingdom 9 happened on Sunday, January 4th, 2015.
What's the attendance on this?
36,000.
Yep, that's normal.
Well, this would start off, we'll skip the Battle Royal. It was a dark match. We'll start off with a 4-way tag as Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Red Dragon. They would defeat Alex Shelley and Kushida, Alex Kozlov, Rocky Romero, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson.
See, I really do hate Meltzer for this show, because this match was so fucking good and so fun. And it's, what was it, like 3 stars? Just
they give
4?
it a 4-star, yep.
That's it? 4.25.
No, it's just 4-star.
What?
And then it's a 6-man tag. Hiroshi Tenzin, Satoshi Kojima, Tomoaki Hanma would defeat Bad Luck Fale, Jeff Jarrett, and Yujiro Takahashi.
It's Bad Luck Fale. He's not Japanese.
It's Fale.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Every time I've heard it said, it's Fale.
I've always said fail.
It's like reading a book and like you've only seen the word in a book, and then when someone says it, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I'm pretty sure that's how it is, because I'm pretty sure I've heard Meltzer on the podcast said fail. Maybe
we'll have to look that up then. But we're moving right on as Mikey Nichols, Naomichi Marufuji, Shane Haste, and Toru Yano would defeat Davey Boy Smith Jr., Lance Archer, Shelton Benjamin, and Takahashi Izuki in an 8-person tag.
We have forgotten. Davey Boy Smith Jr. has lost the Triple Crown title.
He lost it. Wow. I know this is not This Week in History. It just happened like a couple weeks ago, but still.
We have never mentioned that, but he did lose that title. I will get back to you on who he lost that to.
All right, so moving on in this show, Minoru Suzuki would defeat Kazushi Sakuraba by
Jun
submission.
Saito.
What? Where are you coming from on that? Oh, he's the one who beat Davey Boy Smith.
Yes.
I'm going on something else. You're on something. Okay, let's just breath, stop, go. Moving on. As we talk Wrestle Kingdom 9, Kenny Omega would defeat Ryosuke Taguchi.
Ryusuke
Taguchi to become the junior heavyweight champion.
This was one of the, if not the best junior heavyweight match ever.
And then the IWGP World Tag titles would change hands in the next match as Haruki Goto and Katsuyori Shibata would defeat Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson.
Back when they wanted to wrestle.
9 minutes. Well, wasn't this right before they went back to WWE for the first time and then got fired and then went back again? Or am I thinking of a different time?
Not sure.
Huh. Anyway, moving on, AJ Styles was back in Wrestle Kingdom in 2015. He would defeat Tetsuya Naito in a little over 14 minutes.
I've seen this one. This was really, really good. I mean, this was 10 years ago, Naito, and I mean...
Well, yeah, I mean, see, I've always said that...
Back when he didn't have the macular degeneration.
No, I got into a little bit of a discussion with someone who said Kenny Omega should go to WWE, and I was like, when he's done making art, he might go to WWE. Look at AJ Styles. AJ Styles was still making art back here. Then he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to go 5 Moves of Doom and get paid.
Well, no,
we'll see how that works.
He made art. It was just not as much as he did in Japan. His feud with Cena was great. His match with Cody was great. What else did he do?
Yeah. What else did he do? We'll move on as... Well, the only 5-star match on the show that I can see, IWGP Intercontinental Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura would defeat Kota Ibushi to become the new champion.
This changed...
Or, excuse me, to retain the championship.
This changed New Japan Wrestling. This put them at the top. This match basically turned them from on fire to...
burning up?
The sun.
Yeah, but... in a match that's pretty close to that one, 4 3/4 stars, the IWGP Heavyweight title was decided in the main event. So Hiroshi Tanahashi would retain against Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah, this was their feud. It took forever for Okada to finally best Tanahashi. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a bit of a
It was the best story. Tanahashi brought New Japan back from the dead.
Well, no, I get that. I'm just saying I feel like there was a bit of a... And I don't know how I can feel this way because... I was going to say there's a bit of a letdown almost when Tanahashi is not in New Japan anymore, but he's going on to... He's free to go back anytime. He works with All Elite. He's making... tons of money that he would have never made in Japan. It's just, I would have loved to have seen that. I don't know.
What?
Like how Tanahashi is now. That's what Okada could have been. Okada could have taken over the presidency from Tanahashi when he's like, you know what I mean? But you can't really get mad either way. You know what I mean?
I'm going to go back to Wrestle Kingdom 19 because we're talking about Tanahashi. No, Wrestle Dynasty, sorry. Did you see Tanahashi crying after the Kenny match?
No, I did not. Wow.
Yeah, no, you didn't see that? Yeah,
he knew how good of a match it was.
After the match, they pan the camera over, and he's fucking dying. He's bawling out.
I mean, dude, he knows how good of a match it was. I mean, that's not even a
well. I don't think anyone was expecting Kenny to be Kenny.
And he, you know what? As much as that, you can say that. As much as you can say that, well, who was expecting Gabe Kidd to be that?
Exactly.
You know,
it was a beautiful match, and it's probably match of the year. I mean, just for that Tanahashi moment, because I don't think I've ever seen him do that.
Well, that's This Week in History, Wrestle Kingdom 9.
Match of the week.
Well, now it's time for Match of the Week, and for me, it's going to be really no contest, so I think I need to focus on honorable mentions first. But I think both of my honorable mention, my Match of the Week, are both coming from Wrestle Dynasty. I think my honorable mention has got to be the main event of Wrestle Dynasty, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet for the IWGP Championship.
World Championship, yes. But as I was talking a little bit earlier in the podcast here, we were talking about how that one match signified Zack Sabre Jr.'s style right now, how he is the, for lack of a better term, he's the ring general. He's the general of the ring. He knows what he wants to do, and he can do it to pretty much anybody, and that match really showcased that. I'm going to have two honorable mentions this week. My first one, third place, coming out of Stardom Dream Queendom 2024-5. It was December 30th, I think, so 24. But Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid wins the Wonder of Stardom Championship, the second title over there.
Yeah.
She's been working at it for several years, and their story was about 3 years long there, so, or maybe it was 7, but they were they had been fighting for a long time. So it was just a rehash of that. And yeah, it was a great match. It has a 9.2 on Cage Match. So
nice. So what is your second?
Second is going to be David Finlay versus Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, okay. Got a choice there. Tsuji got the global title.
Yeah. That was... I think they went longer because of the injury in the last match, because it looked like they were phoning it in, like doing slow spots, but they were still ramped up momentum. But yeah, it seems like there was a move and then another move and then a pin and then two, and that went on for a little bit. But it was still great how they were able to say, hey, we're going to take your time and we're not even going to plan it out, we're just going to figure it out.
Right.
And it was the best David Finlay match I've seen.
All right, so there we go. That's honorable mentions, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think we're both in agreement on match of the week here. It's got to be Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd. I mean, it was a brutal match. It was a brilliant match, and it reintroduced Kenny Omega as well as introducing Gabe Kidd. It was a welcome back to Kenny Omega, a welcome to the main event for Gabe Kidd. I mean, I don't know if there's enough that we can talk about this match. I know it's really early. There's 6-7 days in 2025 already, and it's already a match of the year contender for 2025. I mean, I know it's early, but it was really that good.
Well, Tanahashi's emotions just is the easiest way to describe the match. I mean, it's so hard to find words for that match to make. But a veteran, a 30-year veteran was crying when he watched the match, so I think that should show that you need to go watch it.
Well, I mean, it's not only the brilliance of the match why he was crying, but he's found a star in Gabe Kidd. He's found someone who can work, and he has a new light. But also, it's in New Japan.
It's Kenny Omega. I mean, Kenny could have died.
Of course, yeah. And Kenny's back, and he's wrestling that kind of a match, and he's he's introducing a new main eventer to New Japan through that match.
And he took shots to the gut. I mean, they were protected, but he took shots. It was very emotional to see because he sold it really well.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any disagreement from anyone. Match of the week, Gabe Kidd, Kenny Omega from Wrestle Dynasty.
Your source for pro wrestling and your place for modern rock. This is Third League. Rock and Wrestling Radio.
Well, all right, there are a couple of shows coming up we've got to talk about simply because they are close to the area. The first one we're going to mention, we won't get into all of it, but NWA Shockwave 2025, January 11th, from Forney, Texas. Again, that's just right down the road from us. So, of course, we've got to talk a little bit about it. As a man who has been on the show, one of the very first professional wrestling interviews I had, Tim Storm, Baron Von Storm, he is taking on Pretty Boy Smooth for the NWA Exodus Midwest Heavyweight title.
Interesting.
I like that they are... That is a promotion or a regional title. That is an NWA affiliate. And they are putting their title on an NWA pay-per-view. I think that's cool to me.
Let's go. Go Billy Corgan.
But then we'll move on to the big show.
Now, if Billy would just use his Smashing Pumpkins music, make the AEW November Rain Welcome to the Jungle style music, you use a Bullet with butterfly wings.
Use something, yeah.
You have the music. You're putting money into shit you don't need to be putting into. Market your fucking promotion. No one even knows you exist anymore.
And, well, the show, I haven't even tried to get press passes to this. We might need to look into it. Coming from the Curtis Colwell Center in Garland, Texas, TNA Genesis 2005 takes place.
Whoa.
On January 19th.
Oh, my God. Email TNA. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know it was coming. We're going to try.
What are you doing?
But
it's Ace
late.
Austin versus Moose when we're going to see Moose get his fucking ass kicked.
Well, it's also the Hardys. The Hardys have a title match against the Rascals. That should be good. Again, I don't like the name Mike on Santana, but Mike Santana and Josh Alexander in an I Quit match. I think that should be pretty good. Josh Alexander been on the show before, so of course we got a bit of a soft spot for Alexander.
Well, the crowd loves Santana.
Yeah. I just don't like Mike. I don't know. I know he wants to add Mike Santana onto his name. That's his name, but...
What about Michael Santana? Does that make it better?
Jordan Grace, in what is probably going to be a losing effort, takes on Tessa Blanchard. And in the Knockouts World Tag Title, Spitfire, Danny Luna, Jody Threat, they are taking on, they're defending against Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. Oh, mind blown. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, if they do this like little faction thing, I guess it could be kind of fun. But when it was just Ash by Elegance, it was stupid.
Yeah. And you mentioned it. The TNA X Division title, Moose is defending against Ace Austin. That should be a good one.
Yeah, basically he threw the X Division title down, and they were like, "We're done with it," and then everyone got mad. So he's like, "This is the top title in TNA."
TNA backtracked on that real quick, didn't they? Real quick. But then the
Lynn
world
Asper
title.
just needs to
He's an idiot.
He needs to do his country television, and he needs to
leave wrestling to the people who. Hey, I'm going to hire you to run this wrestling show because you know wrestling. Stay the hell out of it. Exactly, dude.
He did that. And
then he got mad at Scott.
Because Scott wanted to buy it from him. But Scott's always wanted to buy TNA. He got fired in 2000 something for wanting to buy TNA.
2005. No, me and Scotty, we loved it. And then we heard that Scott was getting fired and Vince Russo was getting brought in. And on a show where you had one of the best triple threat matches I've ever seen, Joe, Daniels, AJ, you also had a show that featured an X Division match, which we loved the X Division at the time. That was the top title as far as we were concerned, as far as a lot of fans were concerned. You had an X Division match that featured a blow-up doll. And not in a good way at all. Not even in like a Daryl Jr. way. It was horrible. It was bad. From that moment on, I said, oh no, dude, this is going to get horrible. This is going to get so much worse. And then it did. It just kept going downhill from Dixie Carter to Eric Bischoff.
But there was a lot of good in there, though.
Some good mixed in with a lot of bad, I'll say.
Yeah. Like their shows. Okay, Aces and Eights was good. Austin Aries' arc was good.
You know what? No. I take issue with Austin Aries. I don't know if it was his idea or if he was just the one who did it. But Eric Bischoff literally just... I don't get it with the X Division. He made the X Division title a cruiserweight title. From that, they give it to Ace Austin, who makes it a Money in the Bank.
Austin Aries.
Whatever. Austin Aries, my bad. He makes it a Money in the Bank. Hey, I won it. Now I'm going to cash it in for the world title. That's bullshit. That pissed me off worse than Moose throwing the title down, to be honest with you. That just made the X Division title look like, oh, it's only good because I get a world title shot. What the hell is that?
I get what you're saying, but I just liked the story of it, and I was a kid watching that, so it was something that I remember.
But let's move on to the main event of this TNA Genesis 2025. Nick Nemeth defending against Joe Hendry.
I don't think they're actually going to end it up that way. I think Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry is going to go on second to last because you can't say, this is the top title.
And have it go on. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, under Joe Hendry? You're telling me Moose and Ace Austin aren't good enough to go over Joe Hendry?
Well, see, I don't want to say this because it feels like I don't know. It just feels like I'm being a dick. But I think Joe Hendry is perfect for WWE because his wrestling style. He is promotion, and he's a decent wrestler. Well, but he can do 5 moves of doom, and that's what WWE looks for.
He started wrestling in like late 30s, right? Or 40s. So there's a reason why he wrestles the way he does, and he's more of the character. He's the sports entertainer. So it's TNA or WWE for sure.
Yeah.
He was in NWA too.
But all right, that is going to do it for us this week. Keep it locked in for us next week. Don't forget to check out the radio show Friday nights on mix961.net if you are not local. Saturdays, KZIG 107.5. We'll see you next week, Third League Radio.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Third League Radio. Download the latest episodes at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Catch the live radio show every weekend starting at 10 p.m. You can listen live every Friday night at mix961.net. This has been Third League Radio.